The air in our big cities is full of smoke, which means air full of dirt and sky without sun for the people of the city. So make a point of getting fresh air and exercise during the weekend.
In 1930 there came a warning from Belgium. Yellow fog choked 74 people to death in the Meuse Valley. An official inquiry compared the effects to poison gas warfare. If the government needed any more warning, it came in 1948 from a small town 7,000 miles away. In Donora, Pennsylvania, industrial smoke and polluted fogs had killed off the vegetation, so that when it rained, the graveyard was washed away and the dead came out of the ground.
Bits of bodies would wash out when, after a bad storm, they would come floating down on the road. When the rain got bad and washed down, it would take parts of them with it.
But the real horror came in the winter of 1948. The people of Donora will never forget.
Yellow and thick. You put your hand out, and your hand got that far and you didn't see it. I mean, you saw your arm, but there was no hand. That's how thick it was.
During the day, we took it as a normal reaction in regards to this fog business because we've had it several times.
It was an ugly, yellowy, saffron-colored stuff that made your eyes burn and water.
We had 3 undertakers at that time who were managing to help the people down to the community center, down in the basement, is where they had these cots set up, and they just placed them there. They wouldn't be dead at that time and right away, but they had no possibility of everything.
The deaths in Donora in 1948 were the focus of an international conference on air pollution in 1950. In 1952, Cabinet was trying to conceal the fact that the country was bankrupt. In the autumn, it was revealed the nation was £500 million in debt. The government moved to pay off its debt with one of the country's remaining assets, stocks from the newly nationalized coal industry. The highest quality coals were being exported overseas. The resulting fuel shortage meant that low-grade smoky coal was being burnt on London's home fires. Pollution warnings were ignored as the government encouraged the country to burn more coal.
But this came like a killer in the night.
In December 1952, the world's romance with London's fog ended in a disaster, the true extent of which has never been acknowledged. Now hidden documents reveal how one of the world's worst peacetime catastrophes claimed as many as 12,000 lives in the center of London.
Belching smokestacks that long symbolized prosperity have now become a source of irritation.
The foul air that had come to be accepted as an inevitable part of city living has suddenly become intolerable.
America was once on a path toward environmental self-destruction. The Industrial Revolution left dirty air, environmental damage, and serious human health problems in its wake. During the mid-20th century, industrial pollution was part of everyday life. Filthy skies were accepted as unavoidable side effects of a thriving economy.
When I was young, it was considered that dirty air meant food on the table.
Up until the 50s, most people didn't believe air pollution had significant health effects, or that if it had any effects other than the fact it was a nuisance that you had to tolerate to let the economy roll on.
I just knew that as a child the sun didn't shine for days at a time. The skies were often smoky, and there were times when you couldn't even see the river because there were big clouds of smoke covering everything.
Soot and smog may have been signs of financial health, but they also brought serious health problems to communities.
In 1948, at the end of October, The small steel town of Donora, Pennsylvania, was enveloped in a smog. It wasn't the usual type of fog. It was a combination of smoke and fumes from the coke ovens, the rolling mills, the steel mills, the many coal-fired stoves in the town. And the pollution sat like with a lid on a pot and didn't move.
The 4-day air pollution disaster killed 40 people and left half of the town's population with respiratory problems. Dirty air that plagued cities and towns through the 50s and 60s fueled public concern. Outraged citizens staged protests. Communities passed local ordinances in an attempt to curb air pollution. Congress was compelled to act. In 1967, the Clean Air Act was passed. 3 years later, major amendments to the act were made, and EPA was established. This laid the groundwork for national environmental regulations, including those for air quality. These were important first steps, but science was urgently needed. Since 1970, EPA researchers have investigated dangerous air pollutants and provided the scientific foundation for regulations and solutions to reduce them. Decades of innovative research and discoveries by EPA and its partners have made our air cleaner, healthier, and safer.